We're joined by Nick Wright. Nick, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Shannon, Joy, Skip.
I've never seen you so dressed up. You didn't have to do that for us.
Oh, come on. I try to dress
Is
the
this
part.
like the big time?
He wanted to be the second best at this day.
Joy does look very nice. You're correct.
Very good, Nick. Nick, has Rodgers been getting a pass?
A pass? No, the opposite of a pass. This is the man who plays the quarterback position at the highest level it's ever been played in league history. And he has one bad game, and people are panicking. Like, everyone says, oh, last year he wasn't very good. Last year, Aaron Rodgers' worst year of his career, his quarterback rating was higher than Joe Montana's career average. His touchdown-interception ratio last year would have been the best in the history of football. Aaron Rodgers, like, there's a difference between who has the best resume ever and who plays the position at the highest level. So take your Dallas Cowboys for a moment. Emmitt Smith has the best running back resume ever. But most people would say Jim Brown or Barry Sanders at their apex played at a higher level.
I would agree.
Aaron Rodgers, at his best, is the best quarterback in the history of football. In the history of football, he has the highest passer rating, the best touchdown-interception ratio, the best yards per attempt in modern NFL history. Your favorite stat, the QBR, the best season ever, was Aaron Rodgers in 2011. That's who this guy is, and people are panicking because he had a bad game against a dominant Vikings defense. So, no, I don't think he's getting a pass at all.
You want to go or you want me to go?
I want you to go, because I know you chomping. You chomping to get in on this.
I appreciate everything you just said, but you were so blind to what is actually happening here. Aaron Rodgers, by those all-time great standards that you just detailed for us, is overrated, overhyped, and getting pass after pass. He's getting more passes than he has thrown over the last 5 years, because since his long-ago Super Bowl victory, he went to 1 and won one, seems like ages ago, this man is 3-5 in playoff games since, including 2 home playoff losses. So if you're giving me Joe Montana, greatest quarterback ever, Joe Montana didn't lose 5 playoff games over a stretch and go 3-5. He didn't lose home playoff games like this guy continues to lose. And by Aaron Rodgers' best quarterback in football standards last year, I thought he had a pretty awful year, because my favorite stat is the QBR stat, scale of 0 to 100. He had a 27 at Carolina, and you remember the end of the game, he threw it to the Panthers in the end zone and cost his team a game I thought they should have won. He had a 30 against Jay Cutler's Bears at home, a 30 QBR on a scale of 0 to 100. He had a 20 at Arizona, and overall, they got swept within their division by their 3 opponents at home last year. That's Aaron Rodgers, the best quarterback in football.
But doesn't that speaks to the standard he's being held to because of how great he is? You
should be able to live up to that standard, and he hasn't been for a long, long time.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a moment, because you bring up the playoffs, right? 7-6 all time in the playoffs. You mentioned 3-5 post Super Bowl. But there's
He's 3-6, except for that one magical wild card run that they had on the road.
But we can't throw that out. That was
I'll give you that. He had one flash in the pan great season. That was great.
Well, hold on. Wait. In those playoff losses, though, the context is important. 2 are in overtime. Both of those, he drove his team down the field to tie the game and then never got the ball back. He was a very fortunate set of circumstances for the Seahawks away from going to another Super Bowl just 2 years ago.
But you know what? He stunk it up in that game, and even Bob McGinn, one of the great columnists up in Milwaukee, took him to task for that game. That was a bad Aaron Rodgers game. That was on him.
Some good playoff moments in the playoffs. Tom Brady, who most people say is the greatest playoff quarterback ever. Tom Brady's quarterback rating in the playoffs, 88. Rodgers, 98. Yards per attempt for Brady, 6.7. Rodgers, 7.8. Touchdown interceptions in the playoffs.
You're doing the passer rating, right?
Sure.
You're not doing QBR.
Correct.
QBR takes into account everything.
Okay,
running, passing,
we can do
fumbles, interceptions.
A more simplistic one.
Okay.
Touchdowns to interceptions in the playoffs. Brady's 2-1. Rodgers is 3.5 to 1. And Brady, most people say, is the greatest playoff quarterback ever. And the numbers are undisputably on Rodgers' side. The fact that Joy asked if he's getting a pass, and the fact that despite what I think for 98% of all-time quarterbacks last year would have been the best year of their career, and we look at it as an awful year by Aaron Rodgers standards, that shows you why he's not getting a pass. He has set such an impossibly high standard that it's almost impossible for anyone to live up to that.
And that's the thing. I totally agree with you. I think he's Aaron Rodgers, and if he has his apex, no other quarterback in the history of the game could reach. And if he drops off 10%, he's still in the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks that's ever played. But his defense is failing him, Skip. Since that Super Bowl run in it was the 2010 season, 2011 Super Bowl, he's had the 25th total defense, 21 in scoring. So basically, they're giving up 26 points a game. So basically, he has to be Aaron Rodgers the Great every single game. And even Peyton Manning, because we talk about Tom Brady, those were very defensive-oriented football teams, his first two Super Bowls. So the Tom Brady that we know and love over the last 10 years is a different Tom Brady over the first 5 years. But this guy is still special. I'm not overly concerned. Jordy Nelson being gone all last year, no preseason. Aaron Rodgers only played a handful of snaps. Once they get their timing back, their rhythm, I think they'll be fine. They're going to win this division, and they will host a home game.
You know what amuses me about this? For years, year after year after year, up in Foxborough, Tom Brady has taken makeshift patchwork offensive lines to Super Bowls. He's taken mediocre running game to Super Bowls. He's taken no deep threat receiver to Super Bowls. He's taken well-coached but maybe under-talented defenses to Super Bowls with just a lot of good cogs but no great players on defense, to Super Bowls, to championship game after championship game after championship game. He's lost some of them, I grant you, but he keeps getting them to championship games. So don't give me, Aaron Rodgers, they don't protect him and they don't have the running, they don't have, baloney. Tom Brady makes everybody so much better around him, and I'm not seeing that from a guy. And by the way, we had Greg Jennings on the other day, and he was the first one to point this out. Listen, Aaron Rodgers rubs his teammates the wrong way too often. He can be a thin-skinned diva who points fingers and takes no blame himself. And trust me, it rubs the locker room the wrong way, okay, as talented as he is.
With respect to Greg Jennings might be the best receiver Aaron Rodgers has ever played with. And he's a fine player, but he's not Randy Moss in 07. He's not Gronk the last 5 years. When we talk about the pieces around him, also we've got to bring up the coaching factor, which is the only reason anyone thinks Mike McCarthy is a good coach is because of the 1 year that you were, I don't want to say throwing out, but the Super Bowl year. Mike McCarthy is the definition of a replacement level NFL coach. He's average. Bill Belichick is likely the greatest ever, certainly one of the 2 or 3 greatest coaches ever. The thing with Aaron Rodgers that I feel like also gets thrown out when we talk about QBR or touchdown-interception ratio is when you watch the games, as I know everyone at this table does, every week there's 2 or 3 plays that he is the only player in the league that can make. Week 1, there was a play near the red zone.
Jalen Ramsey, that's all I hear. The Jalen Ramsey. Are you talking about when he's
being pulled back?
And Jalen Ramsey blitzes and is hanging on his jersey.
But no one else.
And Aaron Rodgers pulls it off. And they barely survived 27-23 because Aaron Rodgers wasn't very good in that game against a bad football team.
Can I ask you a question? And you say Aaron Rodgers is only 3-5 and blase. How many road playoff games have Tom Brady won?
Road playoff games. I don't know. I could go back and
Because
check
his
it out.
last 3 AFC championship games on the road, he's lost.
Okay.
That's a little.
Did he get to them? That's pretty great.
Oh, now
Well, wait
we're
a second.
judging. Now we're
They
judging
just
what.
keep getting to him and getting to playoff game after playoff. Come on now.
And my point is, you keep talking about these makeshift lines. When he go against a formidable defense, you look at what happened to him, the Broncos in the last 2 AFC championship games. They knocked him around.
They had a bunch of tomato cans blocking for him last
Oh,
year. You know this. Wait, you know this.
But
that was a second string, third string line that
But
they
that's
took
Tom
to
Brady.
Denver.
Tom Brady's supposed to get him over the hump.
Well, and the Broncos have been doing that to a lot of teams, in fairness.
Absolutely.
The Broncos have a dominant up front. But the question that I would ask is this, to just kind of bring it back to when I brought up Emmitt Smith. If you can have any quarterback in league history for one game at the absolute peak of their powers, one game or one season, doesn't the answer have to be Aaron Rodgers? Doesn't the
No.
Well, he had the greatest season
For one
in the league.
game?
He had the greatest
For my life? It's Joe Montana. I'm taking Joe Montana. I'm sorry.
He had the best season the league's ever had in 2011. 45 touchdowns, 6 picks. That was the year they were 15-1. Now in the playoffs, that was the Giants game. That's probably the biggest black mark on his resume. Yeah. That 15-1 year, lose to the Giants. That was that was his version of the 16-0 Patriots losing to the Giants. Yeah. But I think we have been spoiled by how great he is. Last year, his best receiver was a dude wearing a hoodie who had been cut in the offseason, James Jones. Like,
Okay.
and they still made it work.
Okay, but
They
I kept
still
hearing
won a
Jordy's going to
playoff
save
game.
him, and Jordy hasn't saved him yet. Maybe Jordy's not right yet.
He will.
But the other night, Aaron Rodgers was a disaster. Should have had 4 turnovers. They were lucky to fall on 2 of his fumbles.
The fumbles
Then
were
in
bad.
In the
There's no
fourth
question.
quarter, he's waiting, trying to hit the home run play from the pocket, and the ball gets knocked out of his hands. And then he always gets a little too cute and a little too careless as he's trying to pick on that Trey Waynes over there, and he throws it up for grabs, and it gets picked off. Oh, what am I doing?
taking
There's a little Jay Cutler going on there that he tries too many things.
If you ever mention Jay
I
Cutler
will.
and Aaron Rodgers
some
in the
in
same
there.
sentence,
We got to leave it
Last
there.
quick point. If we're just doing a beauty contest, who throws the prettiest ball? Aaron Rodgers, hands down. If we're doing who runs from when he escapes and runs, he's pretty to watch. When he takes off, got a pretty girlfriend, I'll give you that one. You know, I'll give you all the pretty stuff, the beauty contest. But when it's time to deliver, I'm not taking Aaron Rodgers.